Hello tacticians, it's Nox here and we are going to continue our look at the Machines of War, and today's look is at the Forge Fiend, the demon engine for the Black Legion. As with all Machines of War, it will unlock during the event at the common rarity, and you can upgrade its primary and secondary abilities again using the badges, the scrap and the usual materials we're used to. And this time for the Forge Fiend you'll need the Chaos component. And we are not yet sure where this will be found outside of the incursion, which will be a regular occurrence going forward. So what can the Forge Fiend do? Well, its primary ability are the Hades autocannons, which deal 6 lots of flame damage to a targeted enemy summon, and all other enemy summons within 2 hexes of that target. So this is literally just a sweeper for enemy summons. So out of the 3 Machines of War that we have so far, this will be the one where you will use munitions the least. And obviously as you increase the level and rarity, the amount of damage that it can do to summons obviously increases. But generally speaking, summons don't have that much health, and so you probably won't need to level it all the way if this is the one that you decide to go for. Its secondary ability is called the Demonic Ordnance, which sets a hex and the 2 hexes behind it on fire. If a hex is already on fire, it will then do 3 lots of plasma damage, and that's 65% pierce ratio to enemies on it. And this can deal some additional crit damage as well. It goes on to say the Forge Fiend's crit chance for both of its abilities is increased by 18% for each time Demonic Ordnance is used during a battle. But after the Forge Fiend causes 3 or more critical hits during its turn, it can't use any critical hits anymore for the remainder of the battle. So you'll get a few critical hits, and then obviously the amount of damage will retreat back down to the actual skill level it's got. The important thing to note here is on its own, this ability only sets fire to hexes. The hexes have to be on fire already to do the damage. So if you're a new player and you don't have any units which do fire damage, then this is not one for you. However, if you are a person who has got all of the 1,000 Suns unlocked, in particular I would say Ahriman, then this could be one to think about. The one thing to bear in mind about Demonic Ordnance is it cannot be used in round 1. Now, this may not be the biggest thing in the world because quite often you're not within range in round 1 and you need to close the gap with the enemy to set them on fire in the first place. But it does need to be mentioned because unlike the Biovore, which can use all of its abilities all the time, it's more similar to the Imperial Battery where it has an initial cooldown for one of its skills. The battery itself has cooldowns on both, so be aware of that as well. So let's have a look at this fella in action. So here we have a lineup that you may use against the Rogel Dawn battle tank if you use the Neurothroat team. And by selecting the Forge Fiend, you can see we can't use the Hades autocannon and we can't use the Demonic Ordnance either because they've got a 1-turn cooldown. So we'll just go in and start killing people normally. So first off, we'll kill him. And then we need to make sure that the tank has the neuroparasite. And then we start off by summoning the pink auras and start racking up the neuroparasites. Then once that's done, we can, well, not quite get Eldrin out of there, he was suppressed. More neuroparasites go on, and obviously do the same with Ahriman. Now the point with Ahriman is that he sets the hexes on fire, which means with the Forge Fiend, when you use his Demonic Ordnance, it does some damage. And we'll carry on increasing the number of neuroparasites. Hang on, got to make sure I get everyone in the right spot, otherwise one person won't be able to shoot. And again, because all the hexes are on fire, we can shoot again. So there's not much really to say about this anymore, other than the whole point is to rack up as many neuroparasites for the Neurothroat. But really, for the Forge Fiend, it's all about getting the fire underneath the tank and shooting it time and time again. And every time you do, it means you can use his secondary ability to basically cause those crits. So the question is, obviously, do I recommend the Forge Fiend? Well, only if you have a reliable way of setting hexes on fire. In which case, by all means use him. You will get good use out of his demonic ordnance. He is going to be the one whose active gets used the least, so there is a benefit there, but unless you have those ways of setting hexes on fire, you really don't want to use this one. And for those of you who have watched this far, or skipped ahead to the end to see what I'm saying, I have reached a fantastic milestone of 3,000 subs, and one of my favourite superheroes is actually Iron Man, and of course he says, I love you 3000. So if you use the code NOXLOVESYOU3000, you won't just get 3,000 gold, but I had to tie it some way to in-universe, and the only god that really loves all his creations is Nurgle, so you'll also get 10 Rotbone shards as well. I hope that unlocks him for you or gets him to the next tier. And thank you once again. So what about the Guild Wars and Taunt Arena? Well, again, it goes hand in hand with what I said about the Guild Raid. If you have those characters which can set hexes on fire, this is actually going to be quite good. If you don't, it's probably going to be the worst choice for you. And I think this might be one of those ones which is underappreciated. But it is only a feeling, so time will tell. If you like these videos, then it would be much appreciated if you at least think about using my friend code, as it really does help me out. Or if you or your guilds are looking for a new home, please reach out to any of the guilds shown, as we'll always welcome new people into our midst. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the battlefield.